Welcome to my channel Living Linux. In this video I want to show you a couple of things that I tested with the Radxa Q6A, a Snapdragon Qualcomm QSC6490 SoC. So if you go to the website, you can go to downloads. You can see that they have their own custom build. Although I was a bit surprised that it says only use when specifically instructed by Radxa support. I did try to boot it, but I had some issues with it, and yeah, I fell back to their Debian image of July. So it's a bit funny that when you click on Arch, that they have an Arch image or a desktop version and a server version, but that's also where I got this Ubuntu desktop image. Now, I also saw some other reviews of this board, and they said that's a good idea to update the firmware. So if you want to test Armion, they say that you have to update the firmware. It's not that complicated. Luckily, you don't have to do it from a separate machine. You can do it on the board itself. So here you can see the October 13 firmware release, and the way I did it was that I extracted it. I extracted the EDL tool, and then I went into this directory with the firmware, and then I executed it like this. So yeah, I just specified the path to the EDL tool. And I did notice that it ran into an error. It says it's skipping it. I mean, so far everything seems to be working, so I don't know if this is expected or not. But what I also noticed is that if you go into the system details in the settings of Ubuntu, you can actually see the firmware versions. So if it says 60.25.10.13, then probably you already have an updated firmware. So I already ran the update of the firmware before checking this, but like I said, up till now everything seems to be working. So let's do some tests. So one of the tests that I usually do is WebGL Aquarium. Yeah, that's actually one of the things that surprised me a little bit in a positive way. So if you look at the OpenGL information, it says it supports OpenGL 4.6. So this is not something I have seen a lot before, especially not on a single board computer without a dedicated graphics card. But it's a good thing. So if we go to WebGL Aquarium, that looks smooth. So if we take that to 5,000 fishes, then we're still on 60 frames per second. And if we go to 10,000, then still looks to be on mainly 60 frames per second. And with 15,000, we're around 45 frames per second. So that's some solid performance for a single board computer that consumes very little power. I think my USB-C cable with the display, it says 10 to 12 watts total. Now, I don't have a good result with YouTube. So if we do Big Bug Bunny, so let's just say we try 1080p and we check the stats for nerds. Oh, AV1, that's not very handy because it doesn't support AV1. So, but here we have VP9. Well, it's not bad. Only an occasional dropped frame. But if we take it to 4K, it's having a hard time keeping up. So, yeah, I think according to the specs this should be no problem, but yeah. So, Godot, well, let's postpone that one for now. I built vkQuake. So if we check the information, so conformance version 1.3 with the turnip Mesa driver. Oh, whoops, that one is Vulkan 1.2. So, like I said, vkQuake. Let's do that with Mango Hut. Oops. So with the Rockchip RK3588, I saw some dips well below, let's just say 190 frames per second, but this one looks quite solid. And I also have the feeling that the colors, for instance like the red, that it's more saturated than on the Rockchip RK3588. So that's some interesting results. Yeah, so let's just try Godot. So you can download it from the website and then get the ARM64 binary and no, oh, whoops. Or is it just Okay, so I'm starting it from the command line so that you can see that it doesn't complain about OpenGL, because you can see here OpenGL API 4.6. So, and well, if we take the third-person shooter demo, I mean, it is an GPU, like I said, the total wattage of the whole system is like 12 watts max, something like that. So yeah, you can't expect miracles. But if we use forward plus engine and then we test it, so I've kept the default settings. So with the Rockchip RK3588 it was much darker, and this one renders it a lot better. I mean, the frame rate is single digit, so yeah, it's quite heavy, but yeah, this looks a whole lot better than when I tested it on the Rockchip RK3588. So, and just to complete the comparison, if we go to compatibility mode, so now you can see that the floor is much darker, but yeah, we get a better frame rate. But yeah, probably we get a better frame rate because not everything is rendered, or at least rendered correctly. So okay, so far so good. If it wants to end it. So what I also did was I installed Blender from the repository. So here also we don't have to spoof OpenGL 3.3. And let's have a look at the kitchen demo. So here it is, and yeah, on ARM you have to deactivate the denoiser because yeah, it's not compiled. They say it's possible, but yeah, so far I didn't see an easy solution. So anyway, so if we have a look here, so I think it was like almost 9 minutes to render it with, from the top of my head, 256 steps. Or was it? No, sorry, 128. Yeah, 128. And yeah, as you can see, it has a lot of noise because yeah, it's not that easy to build it with the denoiser on ARM. But the good part is that yeah, OpenGL 4.6 seems to be working. I mean, like, I'm not really an expert on Blender or Godot, so perhaps some things will break, I don't know. But you can start with it. So from that perspective, I think, well, at least for me, from the boards that I have tested, that this one has the best OpenGL support. So yeah, with YouTube, you could see that the video rendering is not, let's just say, perfect. It's okay, but it's not perfect. So if we try that with a local file, sorry. So it doesn't have an AV1 decoder, so that's not a good idea. So if we try 60 frames 4K VP9 with MPV, then it's not smooth. So yeah. So I don't know if this Ubuntu image from Radxa is like a, let's just say, an initial test build and that they're still working on it. I also want to have a look at, for instance, Arch. And I think Armbian at the moment doesn't have a desktop version yet. So yeah, I'm not really a server person, so I prefer to have desktop images. But I mean, all in all, this looks like a promising single board computer, especially if you want to use OpenGL. And yeah, oh, almost forgot, I also built llama.cpp, and since it has very good OpenGL support, I was also hoping that the Vulkan driver would also be, let's just say, mature, but unfortunately that didn't work out that good. So yeah, I built it with Vulkan, and when you set the layers to 99, it should try to run it on the GPU. And this is a very small model, 135 million parameters. But if I try to run this, then it will error out and it will say device lost error, and that's similar to what I've seen on the Rockchip RK3588, with the difference that the 135 million parameter model did work, but as soon as I tried with a larger model, then I would also run into the device lost error. So, but you can run it on the CPU. So if we set layers to 0, then everything should be running on the CPU. So let's just get the system monitor also here. So I haven't had time to look into some examples to use the MPU. Still something I have to do my homework for. Not really sure why it's giving me an answer like this when I simply say, hi, how are you? But if we try something simple, what is the highest mountain on Earth? And it tells me it's Mount Everest. So that works. And you can also see from the CPU monitor that it's running on the CPU and not on the GPU or NPU. But like I said, I still need to do my homework and see if I can get the NPU running. Because I have my doubts if I can get it working on the GPU. So yeah, I mean, through the years I've tested a lot of things on the Rockchip RK3588, and yeah, it would be too much to test it all in one video. So if there is something that you have seen that I tested in the past and you want to see me testing it on the Radxa Dragon Q6A, then just let me know in the comments. Yeah, I still have to do a lot more testing, but I think the biggest strength of this SoC is the OpenGL 4.6 support. Yeah, it's, in my opinion, a little bit disappointing that it doesn't have the AV1 video decoder. But with VP9, yeah, it should be possible to play YouTube in 4K. But yeah, like I said, it looks like they need to tweak it just a little bit more to really make that perfect. So again, if you want to see any of the other tests that I've done on the Rockchip RK3588, just let me know in the comments. Yeah, I'll try to do my best. I can't make any hard promises that I will honor any of the or all of the requests. So I will continue testing, but this is all for now, and I hope to see you again in my next video.